Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video, we are going to make a short unboxing of the Arronax Colossus Squadrons. It should be quite fast, the unboxing part, because there's only 3 models. It's the first time we have such a thin box for Dystopian Wars, and there is those 3 guys. We'll see how it looks. They look fully plastic. And in the second part of the video, you can skip right now with the timestamp if you want, we're going to make a tactical analysis of how to play those little guys. They are quite versatile, as you will see. They can do quite a few things. And yeah, it's worth stopping for a second. You will see that they look like a little bit like the Kion Battlefleet set, which was this giant submarine that we've seen recently. There's been a huge orbit update for the Covenant with a lot of different changes. Most of the changes I will not go through here, but it's basically simplifying the Covenant gameplay, because we've been saying for a while that Covenant are playing a little bit different than every other faction, with different weapons, different rules, etc. Now it's a little bit more in line. Like, they still play very funkily, they're still the funky faction of the game, but at least you can learn to play with the Covenant and then switch to another faction, etc. They don't feel like they're playing another game entirely. Alright, without further ado, let's open the box. It actually opens from the side. It's really like the smallest, like squadron sized box. What do we get? Of course, we get the little teaser. We talked about it before, but the little teaser for Armored Clash, exactly the same. We're very excited for this. It's exactly the same. Of course, when we're gonna get some Armored Clash stuff, we will make some unboxing, some what to build, like how to play. We'll probably make a video on how to play Armored Clash. Though it might wait that we have some armies, so we do the same as we did for Dystopian Wars, in the sense like we have 2 armies on the table and we can really tell you like, okay, this is how it's played, and it's like didactic battle report. So we'll not make a how to play immediately, but we will make a little what to build with some tips right away. Let's switch back to Dystopian Wars, and we see, oh my god, that's a lot of resin. Okay, so we get 3 of those submarines. They really do look good though. They look weird like this, but remember that when they're on the table, they will look like this. So you have 3 of those. 2 of them look like symmetrical versions of each other. We'll see their weapons, but they do have quite a few weapons. We'll see. They have ramming weapon, actually. They have flamethrower, they have torpedoes, very powerful torpedoes that are, I don't know where on the model. I actually don't know where the torpedoes are. Well, they're here and they're powerful, so we're happy that they are there. And yeah, those look like mini Kiones. That's absolutely what they are. There's a little bit of flag that you can clean easily. Yeah, I really like the design, actually. Like, I already gave the Kion Battlefleet set to Avner, so Valentin, that you've seen. He has some Covenant forces already. And I'm starting to regret. No, I'm kidding. I'm not regretting, but I'm trying to say, like, the Kion plus those guys are going to look amazing. So, okay, I'll give it also to Valentin so we can see Kion plus those guys in a battle report soon. And when I say soon, it's probably by the end of the summer, the time for them to get painted and everything. But yeah, they do look good. They're smallish. I don't have the Kion anymore, as you understood. But yeah, they're cruiser size, like they're mass 2, and that's absolutely what they are. They're the size of like the length of an Albion or a Kutsov or another of these default cruisers. But they have a lot of details, and I really like what they did with it. We have a lot as well of those little teeth and more drills and teeth, whatever those. But yeah, it's the end. Like, if I take this, you can see that it's supposed to have this open mouth, like it's not just like this, and it has some teeth, let's say, I don't know how to say it other than teeth, going forward here. And they also have some swimming flails, like I don't know what is the proper English name for this, but it's like the thing that the fish used by flapping to swim. Oh my god, I completely forgot my English. But yeah, you can see that those are the teeth being opened in the front, and those are the things in the back, so they can swim. So yeah, good quantity of plastic. We'll talk about in the ending of the video, like if I think it's a good deal or not, but a little spoiler. Maybe not for the model, like it's a fine deal, like you pay a little bit, but it's because it's resin. But gameplay wise, you have 3 of those, and that's such a good deal. Like, you have only what you need, which is 3 of those guys. You will not need more, and they are such fun to play. Like, they're really cool and fun gameplay wise, and this is why even though like okay, it's not the best deal, like per kilo per euro spent, but they are so fun. And without further ado, by the way, let's go to the Tactica. If you leave us here, give us a thumbs up, always really helps. And if you are with us all the way until the end, let's go to the Tactica. And so we switch to the analysis of how to place these Arronax Colossus Squadron. And they are quite interesting, as we will see, like really in terms of rules. I take this opportunity to say that I'm a little bit sorry this video arrives a bit late because I did not have time to record the second half, and there's a lot going on both in work and in private life, let's say. And yeah, it's not easy every day. I'm not gonna burden you with this, but yeah, these last few months are not so easy, so let's get going anyway with the Covenant playstyle and how do they actually play. Well, the Covenant are an elite faction. This is something you need to understand. They are probably some of the most elite faction of the game, and the Arronax are also going to be very efficient but quite expensive for cruiser-sized ships. They have, and they had from the beginning of the game, very exotic weapons with different types of missiles, of particle beamers and everything. Now it's been streamlined, so they still have many exotic weapons, more than any factions in the game, but it has been streamlined. There has been an update of the Covenant Orbat, and now they are much easier to learn, and they don't feel like another faction entirely that plays a completely different game, which is a good thing, I think, because it means you can start Covenant and take another faction later on more easily, or vice versa. If you play another faction, you can start the Covenant and you don't have to relearn all the weapons, how they work, etc. Which is good, and it also means that when you play against the Covenant, it's easier for both players to understand each other because they speak the same language, like their rules are very much more similar. They are also, one thing to know is they are quite fragile for the point cost. Like we've said, they are elite and they're a little bit fragile, so there are going to be glass cannons. They do have a lot of unpredictability. I know that the development team called them a little bit the Skaven of Dystopian Wars, in the sense they have some random effects. They can really have a huge impact, and sometimes, like more than any other faction in the game, they sometimes live or die by the throw of a single dice. Which is okay because they use very experimental technology. I mean, they literally use sometimes just alien ships that crash, they make them fly again, and they pilot them. Of course, sometimes it doesn't go so good. They are more oriented, and even more since the last update, they're more oriented at point blank and closing range. Like they really want to close in fast and do a lot of damage. They do have very efficient ships that can send some good torpedoes from long range, etc. And they play very well the SRS game as well. But most of their ship are meant to charge forward and do a lot of damage very fast, usually at point blank. This is where they really shine. And they have some very esoteric defensive capabilities, in the sense that, well, it's not as OP as it used to be, because sometimes you were literally immune to some weapons because you were canceling all rerolls. This does not exist anymore. We're not going to make an Orbit review, but just learn that they are much more balanced now, Covenant. But they still have very good defenses against some weapons that other factions usually have no defenses against. And yeah, that makes them quite fun to play because you will throw a lot of dice. So there's going to be a lot of variances, both in your offensive powers, in your teleportation shenanigans, but also in your defenses. Sometimes Covenant ships feel unkillable because you roll hot, and sometimes they will just melt away because they don't have much armor or citadel or health points, like hull points. So let's remember what we get for this very cheap price of 34 euros. You get those 3 ships in resin, so it's quite cheap for resins. Let's be honest, because they're, as you've seen, they are quite thick still. They're cruiser size, and you still get minus 10%. So basically 30 euros if you go, for example, through my Place. And we're not gonna spend more time there because this is where we're gonna spend a lot of time, and we're gonna see in details what they do. I put everything. This is not the actual data sheet. I just copy pasted as I usually do, all the special rules, etc. But for those guys, it started to be quite a lot. So, what can we say about them? The first thing we're going to take into consideration is their point cost, 139 points. As we've said, this is heavy cruiser size, like points range. So they are very expensive and they don't have the defensive capabilities of heavy cruiser. Armor 6, Citadel 11, that's really not great. 4/4 hull points, so not
completely melting at the first shot, but for the point cost, yeah, they're gonna die fast, especially against things such as, I don't know, for example, torpedoes, because they only have SDV2. So yes, they are submerged, which means they are obscured against many things, but that's absolutely not going to save them against the big weapons going their way. Absolutely not, especially when you consider those guys, we will see that in a second, but they really deploy forward because they have a silent stalker. Let's start with this rule. It's really the thing that defines them. It's this silent stalker rule. It means that you don't deploy them first, you deploy all your units on, and when everybody has finished deploying, you even make like the redeployment, etc. Okay, all of that is done. When people start to make their vanguard moves, then you can, at this moment exactly, instead of making a vanguard move, you deploy them as silent stalker, which means they're really all the way at the end, like just before the game begins. Those guys are going to be silent stalkers, so you're going to be pretty sure of who is going to have initiative at this point, and you can really put them offensively because they can be deployed at this moment anywhere at least 20 inches from the enemy deployment zone. And something that I will be very careful about is like, it doesn't say that you don't need to be next to an enemy unit. So let's say your enemy has something in the middle of the map, for example, platforms that are hidden somewhere, or you made some vanguard move just before you, for example, and he got a little bit closer. Well, you can deploy just like exactly at the perfect angle to be very annoying. By annoying, I mean you will kill them. And yeah, this is a great rule. It's good rule on the Morgana, for example, or stuff that want to get closer, but and want to ram eventually. But on something that wants not to ram specifically, even though it can, but wants just to be at point blank and it in flame range. Like we'll talk about it in a second. This is insane. Like you can really deploy exactly at the right angle to be able to move when you activate and put your flamer template, sorry, torrent template, exactly where it needs to be. And this is really a great rule. Plus, on top of that, in case you needed something more, you gain homing on your torpedoes until the end of the round when you use this rule, which, let's be honest, you will use 100% of the time. And this means that your torpedoes, which are great, I'm going to talk about this right now, why not? One of their main weapons is the precognizant torpedo salvo, only in the front, but this thing, it's at closing range, for example, it's 11.6. And this is going to be submerged, homing, so not obscured, etc., rerolling blanks, and sustained. So you reroll almost everything. That's extremely stable. You can split it if you want, or you can just pile it, because those guys, you get 3 of them in the box. You can put a squadron of up to 3. It's well made. And yeah, 3 of those guys shooting their torpedoes together are going to obliterate something. Like, there is no way around it. It's very reliable. Except if your opponent has, I don't know, SDV 25, he's going to feel the pain, for sure. So this is the first thing. Silent Stalker, torpedoes, great. We talked about the Flamer as well. And yeah, this is the second great weapon, probably the main weapon that I would use them with. Heavy Conodontic Flancer. I don't know what that means, but let us know if you know. And this weapon is a torrent, 8.5, quite good, torrent, and devastating. 8.5 is great, but it means that if you just have 2 of those Arronax, 8.5 is going to be 13 dice is devastating, and against a pack of mass 1s, you basically auto-kill any mass 1 in the game, except if you are quite unlucky, but 13 dice is devastating. You're usually going to make something like, I don't know, 14, 15 hits, sometimes much more, and yeah, even very heavy destroyers and stuff are going to get auto-killed. Anything under this torrent template is dead. Anything mass 1. But even mass 2s are really going to feel the hurt. And yeah, that's a great weapon. And you can see Orbit. The Heavy Conodontic Flancer can be used at the price of a card. So you spend a card, you burn a card, and then you can transform them into heavy particle cannon. And that is huge. That is huge. You are not going to do this in the first turn. Probably not, because you're going to be close to the opponent, etc., etc. Okay. But starting maybe on turn 1, you kill the thing that you were next because you deployed a little bit on the side, you were hunting enemies very far. You destroy this enemy unit, and then what do you do with your torrent? You're a bit too far. Well, what's going to happen? You're going to transform these flancers into heavy particle cannons, and then you can shoot very efficiently up to 20 inches away with this blast template, so you can still go hunting mass 1 units, and it's 9.6. So even, again, 2 of those, amazing. It's, well, 2 heavy particle cannons, even if you're very unlucky, you will obliterate any mass 1, and you can really start hunting mass 2s, mass 3s, and stuff very, very efficiently. I'm not sure that you can use the special capacity of the heavy particle cannon because it's still considered the same activation, the same phase, it's a shooting phase, and you already spent a card to activate, to transform your flancer into a heavy particle cannon. So you will not be able to use your SLS token to boost it even further. That would be insane. No, no, it doesn't work like this. Um, Overall, this flancer is a very, very good weapon because turn 1 you will use your torrent template, great, and turn 2, if you can use it again, great, but if you don't, you can use your card, which can be countered, yes, but you can still use a card to transform those into very good weapons, including up to closing range. That is great. And of course, you still have your amazing Precognizant Torpedo Salvo for making even more damage. So you can see Torpedo Salvo for long range firepower or closing as well. Flancer for point blank torrent, or also you can transform it to heavy particle cannon. But that's not the end. This thing really plays on all the phases. You also have a hydrothermic borer, and this is basically the drill at the front, and it means this thing can ram efficiently. So if the thing you were shooting at, you want to ram it before you shoot, that is absolutely a possibility, and I would recommend doing that always, because you have a weapon, you will not get many disorder and everything. This guy, when he rams, he has a lot of rules to boost it. First of all, it has a mass of 4, okay? Sorry, it has a whole points of 4 in battle ready, so it's going to be 4 dices, plus the movement. You're going to add an extra, is it 3 or 5 dice? But let's say 3. You're going to add another 3 dices of movement. Great, you're going to be at 7. Then you have this weapon, which is a ramming 3. So you're going to go up to 10 dices, but you gain also piercing and hazardous. Starts pretty quite good. It also has terror from above, which means that when you ram ground units, you will not, or surface units, which is what you will usually do, then you have plus 3 dices, so you reach 13, and that starts to be quite good. I mean, 13 dices for each of these guys, which are going to be piercing and hazardous. You have a good chance that if you target a mass 2, for example, or even a mass 1, mass 2, you have a good chance of making 2 critical damage per ship ramming. That is great. So ideally, in the best case of the world, you will first ram some mass 2, do a lot of damage, and then put a template of torrent, which will reach the mass 2, of course, and some mass 1s that are just behind. It feels like you need to be really at the exact good place. It is the case, but remember, with the Silent Stalker, there is a good chance that you will be at the good size, except if the enemy is quite afraid and stays deep in his deployment zone, can happen, but then try to adapt. But if he has some units that are forward deployment or Vanguard or this kind of thing, then you can really start to have fun. And remember that, yeah, they are not insane at ramming, but it's a very good bonus. Always try to get it whenever you can. And it's not finished. No, I told you we have a lot to talk about, because this thing, it also has deep dive, whatever. Let's not spend too much time. You don't really want, because you have a lot of firepower. It's not great. This thing, another rule it has, is flanking more. And this means that the assaults that he makes gain devastating. That could be amazing, except it has also mechanical soul, which means that you support only with +1 AD to your fray. That is fine. That is fine. It means that you will never link them together, but you can make, if you have a pack of 3, you can make 3 different boardings with Fray 9 devastating. I would recommend to do that because you don't care very much about disorder. If you have emergency condition, you ignore it, but you count as having the disorder, you know the rule. And yeah, you can get lucky with devastating and sometimes really do some good stuff. So unless you're really targeting, I don't know, a huge battleship, in this case, yeah, maybe not. But if those mass 2 ships that you've been ramming, that you've been flaming, etc., they still have some hull points left in their crippled status because they got a little bit lucky or they're tough because they're Commonwealth or something, well, finish them off with boarding. For sure, if you make 2 or 3 boarding, some of them are going to go good your way. So yeah, overall, to sum it up, Arronax is a huge threat turn 1. Did the Covenant need it? I don't think so, because they really had a few things that were very, very powerful. You remember the Honebu that could really teleport extremely offensively. This has been a bit nerfed, but it's still there, like it's another way. But it's still threatening if you want to do this. Of course, those guys will want to get alongside the Kion because they have the same appearance and everything. It will look great on the table. And the Kion also wants first turn activation, so they might compete with each other. But the Covenant is probably the faction that has the most ways to put huge pressure on the opponent turn 1. Like turn 1, you can be in front of him and be like, okay, you have initiative, activate one thing, but then I have 2 or 3 other units that will drop on you and just do a ton of damage. So take this into consideration. I'm not sure it's extremely fun to play against or with even, because the game is going to be finished very soon. But having one Kion or one Kion and one Arronax squadron, or just the Arronax squadron even, and using those guys to put some pressure, one on each flank, for example, of the table, and then threatening to keep sending torpedoes, etc., this could be a very good plan. What is not fun is putting all your units in front of the enemy deployment zone and being like, okay, well, as soon as you activate, you kill me something, and as soon as I activate, I kill you something. That's not very fun. But using those very forward offensive units turn 1 to put a lot of pressure on the flanks and hiding them and playing a little bit of game of hide and seek, this can be very fun and very efficient as well. In this sense, they really complement very well the Covenant force, which, as we've said, want to be at closing range and point blank, but sometimes have a little bit of difficulty crossing the table, while hiding some Arronax and Kion and stuff, like behind islands and stuff, and really forcing your opponent to be very careful what he activates and when. Well, this can be the best way to gain the advantage for sure. Alright, that's going to be it for today. As we've said, a lot of things to cover with the Arronax, but I hope that you can see a bit better how to play those guys, because yeah, from reading that sheet it can be a little bit mixed, but yeah, big threat, they go on the flanks usually, and they can do a little bit of everything, which is usually what is the funniest to play, because you really do a lot of little attacks. It's really a joy to play those kind of units. If you have any questions on how to play them, as always, give us a comment and I will answer. You can, of course, when you put a comment, even if it's just to say like, yeah, great video, guys, you gain a ticket to gain one of the 2 battlefields that we put in game, Covenant and Union. We are at more than 1300 now, so it's getting very close. And yeah, until the next video, guys, remember to take care of yourself, that's important, and to keep things fair in love and war games. Bye.